What's going on, everybody? It's Antonio from Akari Press. We're on the Indiegogo, $68,719. Santana Baby triple cover pack is, of course, still ongoing. If you want it, head on over to Indiegogo or just type in AkariPress.com. It'll take you right there. Link, of course, is in the description. All right, so I saw this article pop up on comicbook.com. And I wanted to talk about it. Let me see. Idris Elba disheartened over James Bond casting rumor backlash because, quote, of the color of my skin. All right. And you can read it. It's on comicbook.com. But it's, he's out doing press for Hobbs and Shaw. And, they've been talking about the fact, although James, Bond 25 is shooting right now. And I know they're going to be looking for a new Bond after that. But Idris Elba's name kept being put out there. It's like, oh, he's going to be James Bond. He's going to be James Bond. They've also talked about the possibility of having a woman play James Bond or Jane Bond or whatever. And especially with Idris, because his name kept coming up. He's obviously British, brilliant actor, and they're like, hey, Idris Elba can play James Bond. I was always someone that was like, as much as I love Idris, I think it's a mistake to make him James Bond. James Bond is a white character. I don't really like when they do race swapping, gender swapping in these movies. And these, I don't like it in movies, comic books, and stuff like that. I really believe in respecting the source material. I go all the way back on that to the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie where they had Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin. That movie wasn't very good anyway, but and I love Michael Clark Duncan. Like, you see The Green Mile, he actually got nominated for an Oscar for that performance. He was brilliant in that. He wasn't a bad Kingpin, but it kind of threw me off when you got the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, one of my favorite villains of all time. As a matter of fact, in my comic book, my character Lionel Solomon is kind of a twist between Kraven the Hunter and Wilson Fisk. That's kind of the two characters that I kind of blended together and made into my own thing. So I wanted Lionel Solomon to kind of be Kraven the Hunter and Wilson Fisk all in the, and that's just because of the work that Frank Miller did, making me love the Kingpin. But Kingpin for like 50 some odd years been big fat white guy. He's always been that. So they clearly could have found a white actor to play the Kingpin. They were like, oh, there's not enough Negroes in this movie, so we need to hire African Americans to, diversify the cast. That's clearly what they did, because when you see the Daredevil show that was on Netflix, they obviously cast a white actor as the Kingpin. He was brilliant. And people loved it, but they loved it because he's a great actor. Again, Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin was not horrible, but it was kind of weird that they did a race swap on the character. Ian Fleming, the guy that created James Bond, clearly intended for James Bond to be a white character. He never intended for him, and I am a firm believer in respecting the original source material. James Bond's a white guy. We have to, to me, when we portray him on film, he should be a white male. That's just my preference. I've grown up with him being a white male. Quit trying to change everything. I say that all the time because I've talked about Andrew Garfield that done an interview in Entertainment Weekly what was it, 2013 or so. You can find some of those quotes online where he had talked about when he was playing Spider-Man, he was wanting to make Spider-Man bisexual and have, have him have a boyfriend and stuff. And I'm like, I just really thought that was a strange thing to. I was like, since when is Peter Parker bisexual? And I was like, it's enough to play with, obviously a character like Miles Morales where they've actually done that in the comic books where they started saying that they had kind of teased that Miles Morales was, possibly bisexual and stuff like that. And I was like, quit inserting like gender stuff, identity politics into these books and films and television shows. The material is good, and I love, especially like with Bond. I'm a big fan of James Bond. I've been growing up watching James Bond movies. I'm a huge fan of Idris Elba's. Idris Elba played Stringer Bell on one of my favorite shows, The Wire. I love Idris Elba. And even though he was good in the Thor movies, I thought it was a mistake to cast a black actor as Heimdall in the Thor movies. They knew they didn't have, just like they changed the race of Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok. In the comic books, Valkyrie is a white character, and it should be a white character specifically because the character is based on Norse mythology. You're not finding a bunch of black people, in like Sweden or wherever was Newfoundland or wherever the hell. You know what I'm saying? Norse mythology. Those the people with that background and worship that folklore and everything. Those people were white. They have stories that are written about African gods, and you don't take. When they do those stories about African gods, they don't go around and cast a bunch of white actors to play all the African gods. Because see, and that's one thing I've noticed as someone that's black. You can't, we seem to be able to double dip. It's like, okay, if something, okay, like say they do something in Germany or something like that, and then they'll go, oh, okay, well we can fit some black people in here. But if you do something like African, they go out of their way. They go, oh, we got to make sure everybody's black. All the directors got to be black. The producers got to be black. Set dressers got to be black. They make sure that they overdo it. And, because they get all the groups like the NAACP, and they'll get them like, hey, we got the director is black. The producer's black. We've got a black woman that's, She's the set dresser, and the cinematographer is a person of color. They make sure they hit all those little check boxes instead of doing what they should be doing and looking and trying to get the most qualified people possible. Because that's one of my problems when I've looked at a lot of black films, is a lot of times that's all it is just a black film, and it's not good. I think Ryan Coogler, that directed Black Panther and Fruitvale Station and the first Creed movie, I think he's brilliant. Antoine Fuqua, that directed Training Day, love his stuff. Go get people like that know how to actually do film in a proper way, instead of just like that way. Yeah, he's black, but he's also qualified. It's like that's somebody that has a resume that you can put up against anybody's. I don't want to just let's be shocking here. The James Bond franchise has gotten stale. We need a black guy, and then next time we'll do. Why can't James Bond be trans next time? And I mean this is the type of stuff that they're doing. Love Idris. I definitely love Idris. Idris is one of my favorite actors. He can act his way out of a plastic bag. Just dude, brilliant actor. But I definitely disagree with him on that because he grew up, he knows James Bond's a white character, and he knows that when James Bond was created, that Ian intended for him to be a white character. I just believe that the respect for the character and the source material should be adhered to. That's just my personal preference. I am sure one or two of you will disagree with me in the comments, but let me know what you guys think. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. And if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel. Everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in AkariPress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We're on Teespring. We're on Amazon.com. The links to those are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm out.